So I'm a little bit excited. So my first question is for both of you. And, it's a pleasure to meet you now. And, you have very two different characters in The Wheel of Time, because we have like Mat that is adventurous and he has this charm, I believe, of darkness inside. And then we have Perrin that has this gentle nature. So I would like to ask you, without making any spoilers, what their relationship actually will be for you in season 3, what we will see, and actually what we can expect, because we have seen that the group is been reunited so far, but we have already, sensed that some of them want to, take their own path. So what can you tell us?
Yeah, so at the start, in that first episode, you see the whole kind of gang together, which is really lovely. But I think for Perrin, he kind of just wants to return home and kind of take himself out of this sort of like prophecy, this quest, this duty and responsibility that has kind of dragged him all over the place, really. And I think he wants to return back to some sort of stability back home. But I think what's quite interesting is I think that he realizes that threat or any sort of like danger is kind of following him, really, and that possibility to return home and remove himself from any danger isn't really on the cards. But but I think that's quite interesting. We start off with Perrin kind of doubting himself and wanting to remove himself from any kind of sense of duty, but I think that ironically puts him more in the forefront, and he's isolated away from his friends now, so I think he has no one else to kind of like hide behind, essentially.
Yeah, I think what people could expect for Mat's kind of arc in this season is that he has a newfound sense of confidence and a new kind of standing in society, or a new kind of vision of what might be expected for him. And I think it is not something that he expected for himself, because he looks around at the people that he spends most of his time with, or his close friends, and that he can just see that there is this kind of innate quality of a leader within them that makes so much sense, that there is something kind of great in the pattern for Rand and for Perrin, that he is just quite happy to be like a witness or an observer to his friend's greatness. And now that he's kind of he's been celebrated as this hornblower, that he has his moment of kind of enjoying it, but is maybe reluctant to examine what that means on a larger scale, of like what's in store for him and what kind of responsibilities or accountability you have to take for that position, and what costs that comes at, and what do you give up. And so it's kind of an interesting study of like kind of power, I suppose, as well, and that that he doesn't kind of lose a sense of himself with having gained this kind of like inherited this vision for what his life might be like, and maybe that it's kind of more than he expected for himself.
I have another curiosity. The series of The Wheel of Time has an intriguing aspect for me, that is the fact that we don't have these exact division between what is good and what is evil, and actually is well played by your characters, because they both have secrets, they both hide things from each other, they also deal with the good part of them that is not always so easy to show and to to carry all along the story. So I would like to know what it's like for you to relate to the growth of your character from season 1 to this new one, and also is there like any curiosity of symbolism or anything that actually the series has show it to you that you didn't know before?
I think I think that you've mentioned something like really compelling about the show, is that there is good and bad within this world, but also I think what makes Well, I think what makes the writing and the performances kind of like really hold the audience is that the narrative, the motivations of those that we consider to be evil is so kind of well fleshed out and well rounded that I don't know, it's just kind of like that their motivations, while you mightn't agree with them, you understand their psychology, and so that it just leads to, as an actor, if you're playing that, I think you can get behind it. Obviously, you don't want to play kind of someone. You don't believe that someone is evil for the sake of being evil. I think they just have like a different motivation to us, or different values. And then I think regarding like the symbolism, I suppose, like it's not something that I've thought of loads, but I've understood through like through different through like maybe the fan base and stuff, is like what was happening for Robert Jordan in his life when he was writing the books, and like that he like, I believe he was a pacifist or like a Quaker or something.
Well, he was in like Vietnam at one point, and then he like, I think something like the violence that he saw there. I know his when we met some of his relatives, he'd said like that was like instilled in Perrin's character, about that trauma of violence and all those kind of things. So I think there's lots of kind of, even like returning to the Two Rivers in season 3, there was like a symbolic moment of having been there in 2019 and filmed there, and then returning back now in a different world, new cast, new people, like feeling like a different actor. There's returning, going back to the White Tower, or having like moments. You see this season, there's scenes with like Rosamund and Yasha that feel kind of identical to kind of season 1 when they're having these chats, but they're completely different moments. I think there's a scene in like episode 1 or 2 where Yasha's like, you don't tell me what to do anymore or something, but it's very kind of like mirrored to something that was in season 1, but there's like things that are different and look aesthetically the same, but have kind of changed with time now that we're in our 3rd season. So I think it's really lovely to see kind of our characters in the ways that kind of changed as they've got older and braver, I think.
Thank you so much. The time is already over. So Marcus and Dónal, was a pleasure talking to you, and you did an amazing job. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you very much.